Hey everyone, welcome to Sweetcast. It's Clint, and yeah, I'm pulling up. This is a video I saw on Twitter of a couple of buffoons dressed up in almost like they're ready for some hazmat duty, pretending to clean. This is at a train station or something, pretending to clean for COVID just for pictures. That's it. They don't care who sees them in this train station. None of that matters. It's just for the camera. So it's like this very transparent performance, and that's all they're there to get. Nothing else matters. They've achieved their goal of putting this out there. So I know you're going to say, well, Clint, what does this have to do with comic books? And I actually think this has a lot to do with comic books. This encapsulates perfectly the culture in comics. Not always, but I think much of the time. And I think more and more it's sort of sliding to this realm. And so I'm going to get a little specific with it. But first, check out Downcast 3. Submerged is on Indiegogo right now. If you haven't backed it yet, there's only 2 days left to do so. So I would get in there, back it, help support the campaign. I'd love to get to that 40K stretch goal, because if we do, then everybody that backed one of these collector's bundles is going to get an acrylic standee, which is just a nice little item you can add to your desk. Kyung Lee sent them out with his Battle Maiden Knuckle Bomb. I want to do mine a little differently, but that's the goal. So I'm planning on that 40K. If you can help us get there, I really appreciate it. All right. So why did I pull this up? What does this have to do with comic books? Well, this is actually how the comic book industry is encouraging people to act. I'm going to give you one example, and I'll tell you that I've seen this example play out time and time again, usually on smaller scales. So first, the big example, Tom King, it was a little while ago, but he threw Jay Lee under the bus for drawing a cover for Cyberfrog. Okay. He did so very publicly. He did it as a performance, and he also felt safe to do so because Jay Lee was not on Twitter. This is usually how it happens. The problem is that word got back to Jay Lee. Jay Lee had something to say about it, to which Tom King apologized again for the public performance. And he said that him and Jay Lee are all good. Jay Lee also saw that one and said, no, we are not all good. To that, Tom King could not do anything else. He was finished. He couldn't say anything else. His performance was over. And at least, for a little while, he stopped doing such silly things. This guy posing for the camera. It's so ridiculous, pretending to wipe things down. So this is how the comic book industry has somehow evolved and been trained to work. And usually it works better to throw somebody under the bus that's not on Twitter, because they can't defend themselves. You can just show what it is that you want to show. You can look like you're the good guy. You can paint the picture how you want. This is creating a narrative. And I'm fascinated by how many people do this in comics, even on, again, such small levels, that they'll throw colleagues under the bus. They'll throw, whoever they can in order for them to look good. It's a little disgusting. So I do actually, I think that there's some room for some professional courtesy when it comes to the comic book world. Now, you might say, hey, well, Clint, isn't your channel built off of criticizing the comic book industry? I'd say, yeah, I do quite a bit of criticism of the comic book industry. And this is why it's been so strange. Starting out as a YouTube channel that, honest to goodness, I wanted to speak my mind. I was a little afraid of, my opinions getting out there, because my real name is attached to my channel. Just personal life, professional life, it makes for awkward situations. Things have sort of evolved a bit, and I care less what people think. So I don't worry so much about that as I used to. But initially, it was very much about trying to be honest and trying to speak the truth when, you had a platform to do it, no matter how small that platform was. Now, where the problem comes in is when this gets conflated with the performance, right? And so for me, the way that I see that happening is I've got certain people that I work with and work around, and are on the same team, so to speak, professional courtesy dictates that I'm not going to publicly get online or make a video and talk about how they're terrible people, or, whatever I can do. They shouldn't have drawn that cover, yada, yada, yada. Right. That it's just, it should not be, it should not be the way it works, because that's exactly what I want for the comic book industry. So, why would I be such a hypocrite to go against that? Why do they have to be hot dog salesmen and I can do whatever I want? So there's that. There's also the fact, I think this is a little bit of an elephant in the room for some, that the industry is essentially divided by culture war lines. And so it's, often widely accepted that I can criticize somebody that works in the mainstream industry because they will never work with me. They think I'm trash. And, and I guess I would never work with them either, So it's almost because of that, that the two sides, I realize it's more complicated than that. You can criticize each other. And I actually think that that's fine. It's actually healthy, because you're not really colleagues. You're working in a separate industry. I know it's strange, but it actually makes sense to me. Now, is there some performance when it comes to that? Like if you're out there making a video blaming the mainstream comic book pros, or if you're a mainstream comic book pro virtue signaling, for example, by throwing Alterna Comics under the bus, is that a performance, or is it healthy for the industry? I think it is a performance unless you have valid criticism, unless you have a good argument that can survive. So these are not hard and fast rules, but the way that I look at it is that if you work around people, if you have been, promoted by people or promoted people, or you consider them, colleagues, or I don't know, peers, around you working in comics, whether you're in the industry or you're decidedly not in the industry, or the mainstream industry, so to speak, I think that those people deserve some professional courtesy. If you're going to criticize someone across the line, you're competing against that other industry that is coexisting at the same time. I think that that's okay and probably overall healthy, even if there is a little bit of performance. I think it's worse, and it's at its worst when you do it to friends or those that should have some professional courtesy. I hope this isn't too esoteric, but I think it made sense to me. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Tell me about professional courtesy, what you think. Where does performance go super wrong? And I almost think, honestly, if I left Twitter, it would be, one, interesting to see how my life would improve, and two, interesting to see who out there, not making accusations, but who out there would suddenly throw me under the bus because there's anonymity. You can do it now and make the performance. So it would be interesting to see. Anyway, thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you in the next video.